Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabasutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vitam Sya Om Agyana Timrandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastavena Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Cha Divyad Bhagavat Premnavi Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Vanditam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashi Sarashidaram Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripasindu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is the Adi-lila, Chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance. We'll begin with verses 99 to 100. Prema Bhakti Shikaite Apane Avatari Radhabhava Kanti Dui Angikara Kori Shri Krishna Chaitanya Rupe Koilavatar Eta Panchama Shloker Arta Parachar. To promulgate Prema Bhakti, devotional service and love of Godhead, Krishna appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya with the mood and complexion of Sri Radha. Thus I have explained the meaning of the 5th verse. So we're summarizing here, reading the summary of the explanation of the 5th verse of the 14 original verses given in the Adi-lila 1st chapter. So the 5th verse is Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekatmana Vapi Bhuvi Pura Deha Bedam Gatolto Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Duty Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexions of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Shashta Shlokararta Korite Prakash Pratame Kohiye Se Shlokara Abbas. To explain the 6th verse, I shall give a hint of its meaning. So the 6th verse is Shri Radhaya Pranayam Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Va Madhyaha Sokam Shashya Mad Anubhavata Kidrisham Vetilobad Tad Bhavadya Samajani Sachigarba Sindho Harindu desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. Okay. Shashtara shlokarartha korite prakash pratame kohiye se shlokarabash. So to explain this sixth verse, I shall first give a hint of its meaning. Avatari Prabhu Pracharila Sankirtan Ehobaya Hetu Purve Kuriachish Shuchan. The Lord came to propagate Sankirtan. That is an external purpose, as I have already indicated. Avatarer ar ek ache mukya bij rasika shekara Krishna se karya nij. There is a principal cause for Lord Krishna's appearance. It grows from his own engagements as the foremost enjoyer of loving exchanges. Ati Guda Hetu se Tribida Prakar Damodara Swarup Hoite Jahara Prachar. The most confidential cause is threefold. Swarup Damodar has revealed it. Sarup Gosai Prabhur Atiyantaranga Tahate Janena Prabhur Esab Prasanga. Swarup Damodar is the most intimate associate of the Lord. He therefore knows all these topics well. Prior to the Lord's acceptance of the renounced order, Purushottama Bhattacharya, a resident of Navadip, desired to enter the renounced order of life. Therefore he left home and went to Benares, where he accepted the position of brahmacharya from a Mayavadi sannyasi. When he became a brahmachari, he was given the name Sri Damodar Swarup. He left Benares shortly thereafter without taking sannyas, and he came to Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, where Lord Chaitanya was staying. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there and dedicated his life for the service of the Lord. He became Lord Chaitanya's secretary and constant companion. He used to enhance the pleasure potency of the Lord by singing appropriate songs, which were very much appreciated. Swarup Damodar could understand the secret mission of Lord Chaitanya, and it was by his grace only that all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya could know the real purpose of the Lord. Swarup Damodar has been identified as Lalita Devi, the second expansion of Radharani. However, text 160 of Kavi Karnapur's authoritative Gora Ganadesh Dipika describes Swarup Damodar as the same Vishaka Devi who serves the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. Therefore, it is to be understood that Sri Swarup Damodar is a direct expansion of Radharani who helps the Lord experience the attitude of Radharani. So we will see Swarup Damodar as the expansion of Sri Lalita Devi. Radhikara Bhava Murti Prabhura Antar Sebhave Sukha Dukkha Ute Nirandar. The heart of Lord Chaitanya's image of Sri Radhika's emotions. Thus feelings of pleasure and pain arise constantly therein. Lord Chaitanya's heart was full of the feelings of Srimati Radharani, and his appearance resembled hers. Swarup Damodar has explained his attitude as Radha Bhava Murti, the attitude of Radharani. One who engages in sense gratification on the material platform can hardly understand Radha Bhava, but one who is freed from the demands of sense gratification can understand it. Radha Bhava must be understood from the Goswamis, those who are actually controllers of the senses. From such authorized sources, it is to be known that the attitude of Srimati Radharani is the highest perfection of conjugal love, which is the highest of the 5 transcendental mellows, and it is the complete perfection of love of Krishna. These transcendental affairs can be understood on 2 platforms. One is called elevated and the other is called super elevated. The loving affairs exhibited in Dwarka are the elevated form. The super elevated position is reached in the manifestations of pastimes of Vrindavan. The attitude of Lord Chaitanya is certainly super elevated. From the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, an intelligent person engaged in pure devotional service can understand that he always felt separation from Krishna within himself. In that separation, he sometimes felt that he had found Krishna and was enjoying the meeting. The significance of this separation and meaning is very specific. If someone tries to understand the exalted position of Lord Chaitanya without knowing this, he is sure to misunderstand it. One must first become fully self-realized. Otherwise, one may misidentify the Lord as Nagara, or the enjoyer of the damsels of Braja, thus committing the mistake of rasabas, or overlapping understanding. Wrong consideration of the Gora, thinking of Mahaprabhu as an enjoyer. Sesha Lilaya Prabhur Krishna Viraha Unmad Brahmamaya Cheshtahara Pralapa Mayabad. In the final portion of his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya was obsessed with a madness of separation from Lord Krishna. He acted in erroneous ways and talked deliriously. Lord Sri Chaitanya exhibited the highest stage of the feelings of a devotee in separation from the Lord. This exhibition was sublime because he was completely perfect in the feelings of separation. Materialists, however, cannot understand this. Sometimes materialistic scholars think he was diseased or crazy. Their problem is that they always engage in material sense gratification and can never understand the feelings of the devotees in the Lord. Materialists are most abominable in their ideas. They think that they can enjoy directly perceivable gross objects by their senses, and that they can simultaneously deal with the transcendental features of Lord Chaitanya. But the Lord is understood only in pursuance of the principles laid down by the Goswamis headed by Swarup Damodar. Doctrines like those of the Nadia Nagaris, a class of so-called devotees, are never presented by authorized persons like Swarup Damodar or the 6 Goswamis. The ideas of the Gauranga Nagaris are simply a mental concoction, and they are completely on the mental platform. Radhikara Baba Jaiche Udava Darshane Sebave Mata Prabhu Rohe Ratri Dine. Just as Radhika went mad at the sight of Uddhava, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. Those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. When the feelings of separation became very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Sri Krishna. So-called devotees like the Sahajiyas cheaply imagine they are meeting Krishna in Vrindavan. Such thinking may be useful, but actually meeting Krishna is possible through the attitude of separation taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ratre pralapa kori sarupera kantadori aveshe apana bhava kohaye udgari. Ratre pralapa kore sarupera kantadori aveshe apana bhava kohaye Ughadi. At night he talked incoherently in grief with his arms around Swarup Damodar's neck. He spoke out his heart in ecstatic inspiration. Jabe Jay Baba Ute Prabhura Antar Se Gite Shloke Sukha Dena Damodar. Whenever a particular sentiment arose in his heart, Swarup Damodar satisfied him by singing songs or reciting verses of the same nature. Ebe karyan nahi kechu esa bichare age iha vivariva korea vistare. To analyze these pastimes is not necessary now. Later I shall describe them in detail. Purve braje Krishna tribida Bayodharma Kumara Pogandara Kaishora Atimarma. Formerly in Braja, Lord Krishna displayed 3 ages, namely childhood, boyhood, and adolescence. His adolescence is especially significant. Adolescence or youth, that is very especially significant. Vatsaya Veshe Koila Komara Safa Poganda Safala Koila Loya Sakabal. Parental affection made his childhood fruitful. His boyhood was successful with his friends. Radhikadi Loya Koila Rasadi Bilas Bansha Bori Ashwadila Rasara Nirjas. In youth he tasted the essence of rasa, fulfilling his desires in pastimes like the rasa dance with Srimati Radhika and the other gopis. Kaishora Mayase Kama Jagat Sakal Rasadi Lilayantina Korila Saval. In his youth, Lord Krishna made all 3 of his ages and the entire universe successful by his pastimes of amorous love, like the rasa dance. Sopi Kaishoraka Vayo Manayan Madhusudanaha Reme Stri Ratna Kutasta Shapasu Shapita Hitaha. Lord Madhusudana enjoyed his youth with the pastimes on autumn nights in the midst of the jewel-like milkmaids, the gopis. Thus he dispelled all the misfortunes of the world. This is a verse from the Vishnu Purana. Bacha Suchitas Sarbari Rati Kala Pragabhyaya Radhikam Burida Kunjita Lochanam Virachayan Agre Sakinam Aso Tadvaksho Uruha Chitra Keli Makari Panditya Paramgata Kaishoram Safali Karoti Kalayan Kunje Viharam Harihi. Lord Krishna made Srimati Radharani close her eyes in shame before her friends by his words relating their amorous activities on the previous night. Then he showed the highest limit of cleverness in drawing pictures of dolphins in various playful sports on her breasts. In this way, Lord Hari made his youth successful by performing pastimes in the bushes with Sri Radha and her friends. This is a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Rupa Goswami. Harir Esha Nached Avatarishan Maturayam Madhu Rakshi Radhika Cha Abhavishad Iyam Britab Vishrishtir Makarankastu Visheshatas Tadatra. O Parameshwari, if Lord Hari had not descended in Mathura with Srimati Radharani, this entire creation, and especially Cupid, the demigod of love, would have been useless. This verse is spoken by Brinda Devi in the Vidagdha Madhava of Srila Rupa Goswami. Imata purve Krishna rasera sadan, jajapi korila rasa nirjasa charvan, tatapi nahikatin vanshita purusha, tahashwadite jari korila jatana. Even though Lord Krishna, the abode of all rasas, had previously in this way chewed the essence of the mellows of love, still he was unable to fulfill three desires, although he made efforts to taste them. Tahara pratama bunsha Korea Bhyakyan Krishna Kohe Ami Hoi Rasera Nidan. I shall explain his first desire. Krishna says, I am the primary cause of all rasas. Purnananda Moy Ami Chinmoy Purna Tattva Radhikara Premiyama Koraya Unmata. I am the full spiritual truth and am made of full joy, but the love of Srimati Radharani drives me mad. Najani Radhara Preme Ache Katabo Je Bole Amare Kore Sarvada Bibo. I do not know the strength of Radha's love, with which she always overwhelms me. Radhikara Prema Guru Ami Sishyan Not Radhikara Prema Guru Ami Sishyanat Sara Ama Nanak Nritye Nachaya Udbhat. The love of Radhika is my teacher, and I am her dancing pupil. Her prema makes me dance various novel dances. Tasmad Brinde Priya Saki Hare Paramulat Kutoso Kundaranye Kim Iha Kurute Nritya Siksham Guru Kaha Tam Twan Murti Prati Tarulatam Dig Vidikshu Swaranti Shailu Shiva Brahmati Parito Nartayanti Swapaschad. O my beloved friend Vrinda, where are you coming from? I'm coming from the feet of Sri Hari. Where is he? In the forest on the bank of the Radhakund. What is he doing there? He is learning dancing. Who is his master? Your image, Radha, revealing itself in every tree and creeper in every direction, is roaming like a skillful dancer, making him dance behind. This text is from the Govinda Lilamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Nija prima svade mora hoy jay alad, tahahate koti gun radha prima svad. Whatever pleasure I get from tasting my love for Srimati Radharani, she tastes 10 million times more than me by her love. Ami jaiche paraspara, ami jaiche paraspara, viruda dharma shrai, radha prema taiche sada, viruda dharma moy. Just as I am the abode of all mutually contradictory characteristics, so Radha's love is always full of similar contradictions. Radha prema vibhu jara bharite nahidani. Radha prema vibhu jara bharite nahitai. Tatapi se kane kane bharaye sadai. Radha's love is all pervading, leaving no room for expansion, but still it is expanding constantly. Ja bai guru bastu nahi shunis chita tatapi gurur dharma gaurava bharjita. There is certainly nothing greater than her love, but her love is devoid of pride. That is the sign of its greatness. Ja hoite sunirmala dvitiya nahi ar tatapi sarvada vamya bakra jabahar. Nothing is purer than her love, but its behavior is always perverse and crooked. Viborapi kalayan Sara bivridim Gororapi Gorava Charyaya Vihinaha Mahur Upachita Vakrimapi Shudo Jayati Moradvishi Radikanuragaha. Our glories to Radha's love for Krishna, the enemy of the demon Mura. Although it is all-pervading, it tends to increase in every moment. Although it is important, it is devoid of pride. And although it is pure, it is always beset with duplicity. This is a verse from the Danakeli Kaumudi. The Danakeli Kaumudi of Srila Rupa Goswami. Se Premara Shri Radhika Parama Ashray, Se Premara Ami Hoy, Kevala Vishai. Shri Radhika is the highest abode of that love, and I am its only object. So Krishna is considering, Shri Radhika is the highest abode of that love, and I am its only object. Vishaya Jatiya Sukha Amara Shvad Amo Hoite Koti Gun Ashrayar Alad. I taste the bliss to which the object of love is entitled, but the pleasure of Radha, the abode of that love, is 10 million times greater. Ashraya Jatiya Sukha Paite Manadai Jatniya Shwadite Nari Kikori Upai. My mind races to taste the pleasure experienced by the abode, but I cannot taste it even by my best efforts. How may I taste it? Kabujadiye primara hoye ashray, tabe e premanander anubhava hoy. If sometime I can be the abode of that love, only then may I taste its joy. Vishay and ashray are two very significant words relating to the reciprocation between Krishna and his devotee. The devotee is called the ashray, and his beloved Krishna is the Vishay. Different ingredients are involved in the exchange of love between the ashray and the Vishay, which are known as Vibhava, Anubhava, Sattvikam, Vyabhichari. Vibhava is divided into the two categories, Lambana and Udipana. Lambana may be further divided into Ashray and Vishay. In the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, Radharani is the Ashray feature, and Krishna the Vishay. The transcendental consciousness of the Lord tells him, I am Krishna and I experience pleasure as the Vishay. The pleasure enjoyed by Sri Radha, the pleasure enjoyed by Radharani, the Ashray, is many times greater than the pleasure I feel. Therefore, to feel the pleasure of the Ashray category, Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eta chinti rohe Krishna parama kotuki hridaye badaye prema loba daki. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna was curious to taste that love. His eager desire for that love increasingly blazed in his heart. Ek shuna ar lobera prakar swamadhuryareki Krishna dwarena bichar. That is one desire. Now please hear of another. Seeing his own beauty, Lord Krishna began to consider. Adbhutananda purna mora madhurima trijagate iharakeho nahi paisima. My sweetness is wonderful, infinite and full. No one and the three worlds can find its limit. E prema dware nitya radhika ekali amaram madhuryamrita ashwade shakali. E prema dware nitya radhika ekali amara madhuryamrita ashwade sakali. Only Radhika, by the strength of her love, tastes all the nectar of my sweetness. Jajapi nirmala radhara satprema darpan tatapi swachata taram bore kane kan. Although Radha's love is pure like a mirror, its purity increases at every moment. Purity of her love increases at every moment. Amara madhurya nahi badite abakashe e darpanera age nava rupe bashe. My sweetness also has no room for expansion, yet it shines before that mirror in newer and newer beauty. Man madhurya radhara prema dohe hoda kori kane kane bare dohe keho nahi hari. There is constant competition between my sweetness and the mirror of Radha's love. They both go on increasing, but neither knows defeat. Amara madhurya nitya nava nava hoy swa swa prema anurupa bhakti ashvadoy. My sweetness is always newer and newer. Devotees taste it according to their own respective love. Darpana jedeki chari apana madhuri ashwadite hoy loba ashwadite nari. If I see my sweetness in a mirror, I am tempted to taste it, but nevertheless I cannot. Vichara koriye jari ashwada upai radhika sarupa hoite tabe manadai. If I deliberate on a way to taste it, I find that I hanker for the position of Radhika. Krishna's attractiveness is wonderful and unlimited. No one can know the end of it. Srimati Radharani alone can relish such extensiveness from her position in the Ashray category. The mirror of Srimati Radharani's transcendental love is perfectly clear, yet it appears clearer and clearest in the transcendental method of understanding Krishna. In the mirror of Radharani's heart, the transcendental features of Krishna appear increasingly new and fresh. In other words, the attraction of Krishna increases in proportion to the understanding of Srimati Radharani. Each tries to supersede the other. Neither wants to be defeated in increasing the intensity of love. Desiring to understand Radharani's attitude of increasing love, Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Apari kalita purva kash chamatkara kori surati mama gariyan esha madhurya puraha ayam maham api hanta prakshadyam lubda cheta sarabasam upabhoktum kamaye radhikeva. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before and which causes wonder to all. Alas, I myself, my mind, bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desire to enjoy it, like Srimati Radharani. This text is from the Lalita Madhava of Srila Rupa Goswami. It was spoken by Lord Krishna when he saw the beauty of his own reflection in a jeweled fountain in Dwarka. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before and which causes wonder to all. Alas, I myself, my mind, bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desire to enjoy it like Srimati Radharani. Krishna Madhur Jerek Swabhamika Bal Krishna Adi Naranari Koraye Chanchal. The beauty of Krishna has one natural strength. It thrills the hearts of all men and women, beginning with Lord Krishna himself. Shravane Darshane Karshaye Sarvaman Apana Ashvadite Krishna Korana Jatan. All minds are attracted by hearing his sweet voice and flute, or by seeing his beauty. Even Lord Krishna himself makes efforts to taste that sweetness. E madhuryamrita pan sarajev kore Krishna shanti nahi Krishna bad bare nirantare. The desire of one who always drinks the nectar of that sweetness is never satisfied. Rather, that thirst increases constantly. Atripta hoya kore vidhiranindan avidagda bidibalo najane srijan. Such a person, being unsatisfied, begins to blaspheme Lord Brahma, saying that he does not know the art of creating well and is simply inexperienced. Koti netra nahi dila sabe dila dui tahate nimesha Krishna ki dekiba mui. He has not given millions of eyes to see the beauty of Krishna. He has given only 2 eyes, and even those eyes blink. How then shall I see the lovely face of Krishna? Atatiyad Bhavan Ane Kananan Trutir Yugayate Tvam Apashyatam Kutila Kuntalam Shri Mukam Chate Jada Udikshatam Pakshmya Ridrasham. The gopis said, O Krishna, when you go to the forest during the day and we do not see your sweet face, which is surrounded by beautiful curling hair, half a second becomes as long as an entire age for us, and we consider the Creator who has put eyelids on the eyes we use for seeing you to be simply a fool. Gopyascha Krishnam Upalabhya Chirad Abhishtam Yat Prikshane Drishishu Pakshma Kritam Shapanti Drigbir Ridi Kritam Alam Parirabhya Sarvas Tad Bhavam Apurapi Nitya Yujam Durapam Gopyascha Krishnam Upalabhya Chirad Abhishtam Yat Prikshane Drishishu Pakshma Kritam Shapanti Drigbir Ridi Kritam Alam Parirambhya Sarvas Tadbhavam Apur Apinitya Yujam Durapam. The gopis saw their beloved Krishna at Kurukshetra after a long separation. They secured and embraced him in their hearts through their eyes, and they attained a joy so intense that not even perfect yogis can attain it. The gopis cursed the Creator for creating eyelids that interfered with their vision. That's from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Valokana Vinanetra Falanahi Ana ye jana Krishna deke se bhagyavan. There is no consummation for the eyes other than the sight of Krishna. Whoever sees him is most fortunate indeed. Akshanvatam phalamidam cha param vidamma sakya pashum anur vivek shayator vashashai bhaktram rajesha sutayor anuvenu jushtam yarva nipitam anurakta kataksha moksham. The gopi said, O friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaj Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. For those who have eyes, we think there is no greater object of vision. Like the gopis, one can see Krishna continuously if one is fortunate enough. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that sages whose eyes have been smeared with the ointment of pure love can see the form of Shamsundar Krishna continuously in the centers of their hearts. This text from the Srimad Bhagavatam was sung by the gopis on the advent of the Sharat season. Gopyas tapa kim acharan yad. Are you going to be here at the end of the class? Okay. Gopyas tapa kim acharan yad amusharupam lavanyas haram asamurdvam ananyasidam drigbi pibanti anusava binavam durapam ekanda dama yashasa shriya aishvarasya. The women of Mathura said, what austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes they always drink the nectar of the form of Lord Krishna, which is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by the women of Mathura when they saw Krishna and Balaram in the arena with King Kamsa's great wrestlers, Mushtika and Shanura. Apurva madhuri Krishnera apurva tarabal Jahara Shavane man hoy talamal. The sweetness of Lord Krishna is unprecedented, and its strength is also unprecedented. Simply by one's hearing of such beauty, the mind becomes unsteady. Krishnera madhurye Krishne upajay loba samyak aswadite nare manera hekoba. Lord Krishna's own beauty attracts Lord Krishna himself, but because he cannot fully enjoy it, his mind remains full of sorrow. Etas svetiya hetur kohila vivaran tritiya hetur ebe shunaha lakan. This is a description of his second desire. Now please listen as I describe the third. Atyanta niguda e rasara siddhanta sarup gosai matra janena ekanta. This conclusion of rasa is extremely deep. Only Swarup Damodar knows much about it. Jeva keho anyan jane seho taha hoite Chaitanya Gosaira Teho Atyanta Marmajate Jebakeho Anyajane Seho Taha Hoite Chaitanya Gosira. Chaitanya Gosaira Teho Atyanta Marmajate. Anyone else who claims to know it must have heard it from him, for he was the most intimate companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi Ganera Primera Ruda Bhavanam Vishuddha Nirmala Prema Kabu Nahikam. The love of the gopis is called Ruda Bhava. It is pure and spotless. It is not at any time lust. As already explained, the position of the gopis in their loving dealings with Krishna is transcendental. Their emotion is called Ruda Bhava. Although it is apparently like mundane sex, one should not confuse it with mundane sexual love, for it is pure and unadulterated love of Godhead. Premaiva Gopa Ramanam Kama iti agamat pratam iti Uddha Vadayopi etam Vanshanti Bhagavat Priyaha. Premaiva Gopa Ramanam Kama iti agamat pratam iti Uddha Vadayopi etam Vanchanti Bhagavat Priyaha. The pure love of the gopis has become celebrated by the name lust. The dear devotees of the Lord, headed by Sri Uddhava, desire to taste that love. This is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Kama prema dohakar bibina lakan loha ara hema jaiche swarupe vilakan. Lust and love have different characteristics, just as iron and gold have different natures. One should try to discriminate between sexual love and pure love, for they belong to different categories, with a gulf of difference between them. They are as different from one another as iron is from gold. Atmendriya priti bansha tare bolikam Krishnendriya priti icha dare premanam. The desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust, but the desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema, love. The revealed scriptures describe pure love as follows. Sarvata dvamsha rohitam sati api dvamsha karane yadbhava bandhanam juno shri prema parikirtita. If there is ample reason for the dissolution of a conjugal relationship, and yet such a dissolution does not take place, such a relationship of intimate love is called pure. The predominated gopis were bound to Krishna in such pure love. For them, there was no question of sexual love based on sense gratification. Their only engagement in life was to see Krishna happy in all respects, regardless of their own personal interests. They dedicated their souls only for the satisfaction of the personality of God at Sri Krishna. There was not the slightest tinge of sexual love between the gopis and Krishna. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita asserts with authority that sexual love is a matter of personal sense enjoyment. All the regulative principles in the Vedas pertaining to desires for popularity, fatherhood, wealth, and so on are different phases of sense gratification. Acts of sense gratification may be performed under the cover of public welfare, nationalism, religion, altruism, ethical codes, biblical codes, health directives, fruitive action, bashfulness, tolerance, personal comfort, liberation from material bondage, progress, family affection, or fear of social ostracism or legal punishment. But all these categories are different subdivisions of one substance, sense gratification. All such good acts are performed basically for one's own sense gratification, for no one can sacrifice his personal interest while discharging these much advertised moral and religious principles. But above all this is a transcendental stage in which one feels oneself to be only an eternal servitor of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. All acts performed in this sense of servitude are called pure love of God because they are performed for the absolute sense gratification of Sri Krishna. However, any act performed for the purpose of enjoying its fruits or results is an act of sense gratification. Such actions are visible sometimes in gross and sometimes in subtle forms. Kamera tatparya nija sambhoga kevala Krishna sukha tatparya matra prema taprabal. The object of lust is only the object. The object of lust is only the enjoyment of one's own senses, but love caters to the enjoyment of Lord Krishna, and thus it is very powerful. Loka dharma, Veda dharma, Deha dharma, karma, Laja darya, Deho sukha, Atma sukha marma, Dustyaja aryapata, Nija parijan, Swajane koraye jata, Tarana Bartsan, Sarvatyaga Kore Kore, Krishnara Bhajan, Krishna Sukha Hetu Kore, Prema Sevan. Such social customs, scriptural injunctions, bodily demands, fruitive actions, shyness, patience, bodily pleasures, self-gratification, and the path of Varnashram Dharma, which is difficult to give up. The gopis have forsaken all these, as well as their own relatives and their punishment and scolding for the sake of serving Lord Krishna. They render loving service to him for the sake of his enjoyment. Ihake kohiye Krishna drida anurag Swacha dota bastre jaiche nahi kondag. This is called firm attachment to Lord Krishna. It is spotlessly pure. It is spotlessly pure, like a clean cloth that has no stain. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita advises everyone to give up all engagements of sense gratification and, like the gopis, dovetail oneself entirely with the will of the Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate instruction of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. We should be prepared to do anything and everything to please the Lord, even at the risk of violating the Vedic principles or ethical laws. That is the standard of love of Godhead. Such activities in pure love of Godhead are as spotless as white linen that has been completely washed. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur warns us in this connection that we should not mistakenly think that the idea of giving up everything implies the renunciation of duties necessary in relation to the body and mind. Even such duties are not sense gratification if they are undertaken in a spirit of service to Krishna. So, Ateva kama preme bahuta antar kama anda tama prema nirmala maskar. Therefore, lust and love are quite different. Lust is like dense darkness, but love is like the bright sun. Ateva gopi ganer nahi kama ganda, Krishna sukha lage matra, Krishna se anubandha. Ateva gopi ganer nahi kama ganda, Krishna sukha lage matra, Krishna se sambandha. Thus, there is not the slightest taint of lust in the gopis' love. Their relationship with Krishna is only for the sake of his enjoyment. Yatte sujata charanam buruham staneshu bita shanai priya tadimahi karkaseshu tena tabim tasi tad vyatate nakim sweet Kurbadi bir brahmati dear bhavad ayusham naha. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds therefore are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by the gopis when Krishna left them in the midst of the Rasa-lila. Atma sukha duke gopir nahika vichar, Krishna sukha hetu chesta mano vyavahar. The gopis do not care for their own pleasures or pains. All their physical and mental activities are directed toward offering enjoyment to Lord Krishna. Krishna lagiara sabha kore parityaga, Krishna sukha hetu kore shuddha anuraga. They renounced everything for Krishna. They renounced everything for Krishna. They have pure attachment to giving Krishna pleasure. Evam mad arto jita lokaveda svanam evo mayi anuvritaye balaha maya paroksham bhajata tirohitam mashu yitum marhata tadbriyam priyaha. O my beloved gopis, you have renounced social customs, scriptural injunctions, and your relatives for my sake. I disappeared behind you only to increase your concentration upon me. Since I disappeared for your benefit, you should not be displeased with me. This text from Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Krishna when he returned to the arena of the Rasa-lila. So I'm going to stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue, or the next reading. Tomorrow's Saturday, so we have a Zoom conference. So I believe on Monday we'll resume. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Hariya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatham Maranamon Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Ganadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Janana Bandhan Jao Ite Vignana Shabishta Puran Echai Gosai Jarmui Taradas Kasaba Padarenu Mora Panchagas Ananda Hari Ananda Tadir Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Amilan Echai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Hare Nam Sankirtana Kohe Narotamura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhariju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tata Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmamacharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Tata Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Tilat Neri Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Namadip Dham Ki Jai Shri Ramayapur Ki Jai Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Koladvip Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai Ganga Devi Ki Jai Tulasi Radharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kuna Radhakunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai Shri Purushottam Adam Ki Jai Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo Ki Jai Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai Bhakta Prabhara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Dev Ratha Yatra Ki Jai all the assembled devotees Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol
Jai Om Vishnu Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki